Ooh, rocking out tonight. Hi, folks. This is Ron, and you are listening to Star Wars, Delusions of Granular, the Star Wars podcast where we pick a Star Wars related topic, we get granular with it, and, we release 2 episodes every week. You can find all of our episodes on iTunes or Stitcher. You can subscribe to us there, as well as going to our website, delusionsofgranular.com. Find all of our episodes there. You can download them, stream them, whatever you want to do. And also connect to us on Facebook, facebook.com/SWDOG, or on Twitter at SWDog77. And if you want to call in, leave some feedback, suggestions for the show, maybe a topic or two, you can always give us a call on the hotline, 651-337-9364. That's 651-337-9364. You can call, leave us a message there. Or just email us. Email us at swdog77@gmail.com. All right, folks. What are we doing this week? Well, I don't know. Rebels is premiering later on this week, so I'm sure that'll be exciting. There's also rumors that we're going to be getting a real trailer for The Force Awakens soon, possibly on October 19th. So, well, I don't know when this episode's airing, but maybe we have already seen the trailer for it. I don't know. I'm not trying to get my hopes up about this one. Last year we got a trailer for Thanksgiving on Black Friday, so I'm still holding out that that's what they're going to give us, a new trailer. October 19th doesn't really have much significance, so I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. What else has been going on? I know that, I know a lot of us out there have been playing some of the video games. I know that the Star Wars Battlefront game has been in beta, and a lot of us have been playing. I've been seeing a lot of the game footage videos online, and it looks exciting. I am not a console gamer, so although it's enticing, I probably will not be playing those. I just don't have the time to plug into a console anymore. But looks exciting, and I'm hoping that everyone is enjoying Battlefront, because, playing as a Star Wars character on Star Wars settings, who wouldn't want to do that, right? The other 2 games I know that have been out there, Disney Infinity 3.0 has incorporated Star Wars into its gaming platform, what have you. I tried to play a little bit of this. I have yet to jump wholeheartedly into it. Not entirely sure. I don't know. I don't know what to make of this one. I'll probably be playing it eventually, but I'm going to hold off because, honestly, right now, my time is being taken up on my gaming devices of choice, of course, my iPad and iPhone. I've been playing Star Wars Uprising, and I was debating whether I was going to do a full episode about Uprising or not, and I honestly, I don't think there's enough there for me to talk about. It seems like a very much it seems like a amalgam of some other games out there that we've probably all played on our mobile devices. Nothing too spectacular about there, honestly. I don't really even know the storyline, even though it's taking place in the years after Return of the Jedi. There's not a lot there to really dive into. But it's holding my attention. Whenever I have a free moment, I find I'm trying to level up my character and get him the latest armor and items and weapons of higher value, and I'm hoping that they expand upon this a little bit, make it a little bit more community driven. I can't seem to join any kind of the factions or crews or anything. I don't know why. I just, every time I click on it, I get an error. So I'm kind of off on my own on this one, but it's out there. You can download it for free on your Well, I'm playing it on my iOS devices, but I'm sure it's probably on the Android devices as well. But yep, these games are out there. They're supposedly canon, although I don't think Disney Infinity is canon, but they're out there, folks. So I'd love to hear what you folks are thinking of these games, especially Star Wars Battlefront. Like I said, I don't have much time to be playing that, but love to hear what everyone else is thinking of that. So yeah, shoot me a line. Let me know what you think, and I'll gladly let people's thoughts on the game out on the air. So why not? But what I have been busy doing is I've been doing a lot of reading. As you folks know, if you've been listening to any of the recent SW Dog episodes, I've been doing a lot of reading on the books that came out on Force Friday. Wrap those up. Hitting the comic books now. And, I wanted to talk about this week. I wanted to talk about the miniseries that just wrapped up, Lando. Lando was the title of this miniseries, and of course it is about Mr. Calrissian himself. And it's honestly, it's a darn good read, and I'm really excited to talk about it tonight. So this series is by writer Charles, and I'm probably going to pronounce his name incorrectly, but Charles Soule, and artist Alex Maleev. Now, Alex Maleev I'm somewhat familiar with, and this is basically the second miniseries that we've received. The first one was, of course, Princess Leia, which I talked about several episodes ago, and they seem to be having a whole series of miniseries coming out. The next one, I believe, is going to be Chewbacca, and then after that, just announced there's going to be a prequel miniseries, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. It looks like this is going to take place when Anakin is still a young kid, a young Padawan himself. So, looking forward to that. Very excited about them not ignoring the prequel eras and bringing in a new story. Now, I know that there's been some novels that actually kind of covered this ground, but obviously those have been deemed just legends. So this will be a new take on that time period. But Lando Calrissian, Lando, the book itself. Where to begin? I guess just kind of begin right at the start of this book. This truly is just a Lando solo adventure. We don't see or even make mention of Han Solo, Chewbacca, Luke Skywalker, or Princess Leia. The Falcon and the Millennium Falcon is mentioned briefly in this, but it's interesting that this book starts out. It doesn't really give us a time frame. We don't know exactly when this is taking place, but we know that Lando does not have the Falcon, and this is the time of the Empire. It starts out because it looks like the beginning of this first book starts out with looks like maybe Lando is just woke up in the morning. There's a lovely lady in bed, and she is she's an Imperial. She's an Imperial Moff. So she's obviously an Imperial of some high ranking, and Lando is kind of, possibly had been romantic with her the night before, and, he's planning on stealing something of hers, and, he's going to tell her about it, because Lando is a man of some dignity and class and charm. And instead of just kind of slinking off while she's still asleep and stealing these items, he decides to tell her what his intentions are. Now, this Moff apparently has a reputation. She's known as the Burning Moff. They don't really go into what that means, but she's the Burning Moff. Her real name in this book is Serena, with two S's at the beginning there. But this is it's a very interesting book right from the get-go. Does a really good job of fleshing out who the Lando character is. We get a really good sense of who he is. In fact, one of the ways we get a good sense of who he is it kind of, we don't really find out exactly what happens, what goes down with the Moff, whether, she kind of pulls a gun on him and he kind of talks his way out of it, and they cut immediately to Lando meeting his friend at the bar, and that he got it. He got the trinket without pulling a blaster or using any kind of violence. We don't know exactly what he did, but he did it in a somewhat more dignified way than just using violence. Now, the friend that he meets at this bar, of course, is a familiar face, Lobot. Now, Lobot, this is as much his book as it is Lando's, and we'll get into that as we go through. But Lobot's a pretty important character in this book. We find out that Lobot is he has Imperial implants in his head. We don't know exactly how he got those, but he was being used by the Empire for some reason, and that's what his device is on his head. And he always has to fight, fight with his mind to basically not have the implants take over and him kind of losing himself. And he actually, we find out, has a bit of a personality in this. He's very much connected to Lando. In fact, they're very familiar with each other. Lando calls Lobot Lo, L-O for short, and they often refer to each other as brother throughout the book. Throughout the series, and it's a nice relationship they have, and it's really handled quite well. So anyway, Lando, this trinket that he stole from the Burning Moff, he needs to take it to the person who hired him, a character by the name of Papa Torin, who kind of has these fairy type creatures kind of flying around his head, and they're the ones that do the talking for him. It's very odd and seems very reminiscent of the characters are winged, and they feel very reminiscent of our friend Watto from the prequels. But it turns out this Papa Torin owned this trinket, and he doesn't feel like he owes Lando all of the money that Lando thought he was going to get, and he, in fact, only takes 10% off of Lando's debt, and Lando needs to take another job to basically pay off Papa Torin, and that is really the start of what this book is about. The job that Lando takes is to basically steal a ship while it is being repaired in the Imperial shipyards. Pretty easy job, although he does hire a crew. He hires a couple of they're either clones or assassins or brother and sister or brother and brother. They're very dark cat-like characters. Their names are Alexin and Pavel, and they're basically the hired muscle for the job. He also hires brings a Ognot character onto this job as well, a character by the name of Sava Corin Pears, and I believe, and I read through this series twice, and I didn't catch it the first time, but I believe that even though this Ognot looks like he has a beard, mustache, looks very much like a male, is referred to as a she throughout the book. So apparently Sava Corin Pears is a female Ognot, although hard to tell with these creatures. And she's an expert of antiquities. Apparently Sava, folks, if you don't, I'm not familiar with the term Sava, but apparently Sava is a title. Anyway, she's a expert on antiquities, and the ship that the yacht that this crew that Lando is putting together needs to steal actually has a bunch of antiquities on it. This is why Papa Torin wants this ship. So interesting the way this plays out. They're kind of going over the plan and it's being illustrated throughout the book. And then we find out that is actually the plan going down, that it goes down without a hitch. Lando and crew get away with the ship. It's it turns out that the ship is actually the Emperor's, and this is the Emperor's private collection of antiquities. And not just antiquities, it's Sith antiquities. So immediately, Lando doesn't realize what he's gotten himself into, but 3 Star Destroyers come up upon him, and Lando has to use his skills as pilot to kind of get out of a tight situation, and lo and behold, he does, even though his crew is a little bit unsure of Lando's techniques. Lando comes through very well. And throughout this, Lando is, again, very, very dignified, very sure of himself, chooses to not use violence or blasters. Likes to kind of get away and handle things with his wits instead. So, it's a nice addition to Lando, the character from the movies. Obviously, there was some of this in the movies, but they're really playing up on how Lando is much more of a dignified character, and good characterization by Mr. Soul and Alex Maleev. The Emperor ends up sending a bounty hunter, a new bounty hunter, to kind of go after Lando and crew. Character by the name of Chaneth Cha. Like I said, this bounty hunter we haven't seen before. Interesting that the Emperor kind of hires this bounty hunter, knowing full well that the Imperials are going to fail. They're not going to be able to capture Lando and his crew and get the ship back, so he immediately hires this Chaneth Cha. And Chaneth Cha seems to be a force to be reckoned with. She seems to, I say she, I'm skipping ahead, but yes, Chaneth Cha is actually a female. We also find out that on the ship, as they're kind of exploring the ship, that these antiquities are actually being guarded by a couple of Imperial guards, the Red Guards that we know, the Crimson Guards, I should say, from Return of the Jedi, and then of course expanded upon in the EU. But they show up here, and as soon as they show up, kind of leave, I believe, book 2 on a cliffhanger. They stab Lobot. They basically kind of stab him in the shoulder. And like I said, this is as much Lobot's book as anything, as much as Lando's, because we've already set up that Lobot has to kind of fight these implants from taking over his self, and with the injury, he kind of loses focus, and the implants start to take over. So he's kind of, in peril throughout the book. Lando, of course, being the good friend he is, gets Lobot treated, gets him into a Bacta tank, so he's there while the adventure continues. Meanwhile, this Chaneth Cha, kind of a callback to the prequels, because she is given a ship to pilot or use by the Emperor himself, and the name of the ship is called the Scimitar. Now, the way this ship is drawn, reading this, you'll see that this is a very similar style to the ship that Darth Maul had in Phantom Menace. Ship seems to handle very mysteriously. Actually has a droid pilot, 066. I wonder if that's a reference to Order 66, and they never call it out that this is Darth Maul's ship, but it's quite possible this is Darth Maul's ship, and that Chaneth Cha is using it to kind of track down Lando. And being that this is a five five book miniseries. You know, the pacing of the book is pretty quick. Immediately, the assassins that Lando has hired, the twins, whatever you call them, they immediately spring into action and kind of fight the Imperial Guards. In fact, this fight is kind of going on while Corrin and Lando are kind of investigating the rest of the ship and getting Lobot treated. There's a very interesting thought in this book. A point that they make is that Lando doesn't seem to know what a Sith or a Jedi is. He seems kind of unfamiliar with them. In fact, it seems like maybe he doesn't know what the Sith are. He knows maybe that the Jedi are something from the past, and he says they sound kind of like they were just con artists, you know. So Lando has no love for the Jedi, no real memory of them, no real high praise for them. Interesting. I don't know how this is going to work out, because we all know, if we've been watching Rebels, that Lando shows up in there as well, and interacts with Kanan and Ezra, who are Jedi-like. They're not full Jedi, but they're there. And it'll be interesting to see if Lando shows up again in season 2 of Rebels. I'll say this: I do really like the characterization of Lando in this miniseries much more than the characterization of Lando in Rebels. In Rebels, Lando feels much more like a punchline, and this is very close to the Lando that we get in the movies. Very dashing and suave, and never really a punchline. Although kind of lighthearted too, nobody's ever really sure if he knows what he's doing or if he's just kind of bluffing his way through things. In fact, that line comes up later, but we'll get to that. I promise you, we'll get to everything I keep telling you we'll get to. Anyway, this Chenisha, she shows up, she deactivates all of the escape pods on the ship that Lando has stolen, and she boards, and we immediately find out that she knows Lando, that she is a female, and she seems to have a past with Lando, but even more so, she seems to have a past with Lobot, and it's hinted at that they may have had a romantic involvement, but just hinted at. It's never really said for sure. But we also find out that the ship is kind of being corrupted by these Sith artifacts. That the Sith is very powerful, and the people that are coming in contact with it are being corrupted. So the defeated Imperial Guards by the twins were somewhat corrupted, and now the twins are kind of being corrupted as well. And I keep calling them twins, but I swear that one is referring to another as sister in this. And just very mysterious creatures. I'm not entirely sure what to make of them, other than they look like they're very reminiscent from Marvel, Black Panther. So think of that. They end up kind of double-crossing Lando. They kind of start fighting amongst themselves. In fact, one of them cuts off the arm of the other, and it's a little bit confusing. I'm not quite entirely sure what was going on there, but it kind of makes them the real antagonist here. Like, the Emperor, is playing from a distance. Chenisha is brought on to capture Lando, but she kind of immediately joins Lando's side. And they need to decide what to do with this ship. Lando, of course, wants to keep the treasure and profit off of this, but Chenisha says, look, the Emperor is going to be after you. If you try to sell any of these antiquities on the black market, he will know and find you, and the only way to getaway is to destroy the ship. So, yeah, it kind of leaves it that. And of course, it wraps up pretty well with, well, you can't just destroy the ship because Lobot, of course, is still being taken care of in the back of the tank, and it's too soon for him to get out because he's not healed yet. And if they do take him out too soon, there's a good chance that, well, he'll lose himself because the implants will take over. But of course, that's what they have to do because, the Empire, the Imperials are breathing down their neck, and they need to destroy this ship sooner than later. And, well, they end up taking Lobot out, and Lobot actually ends up saving the day. He uses his implants to reactivate the escape pods so that Chaneth and Lando can escape, as well as Lobot. I should say, I kind of skimmed over this, but Corrin Pears, he does die in this. He gets killed by Alexin, and he was also kind of starting to get corrupted by the Sith artifacts as well. But anyway, it ends on a very touching note for this miniseries. We find out that that Lobot has been taken over by the implants, and he becomes much more the Lobot that we know from the movies. Kind of distant and more of a robot than man, and he kind of leaves a sad little recording on his device for Lando, saying, "Look, if you're hearing this, it means that the implants have taken over, and I'm sure, my friend, you're going to try to find a cure for me, but carry on with your life, and maybe even think about getting out of this smuggler business, because you're smarter than this, and you're better than this, and maybe even you're a leader, maybe, and that you can, people like you, and people will follow you." So, kind of sets Lando off on a different path, maybe. We don't know, but we know that later on, Lando does become a leader, and that he ends up becoming, he runs Bespin and ends up becoming a general in the rebellion. So, maybe Lando took Lobot's words to heart, and I thought it ended really well. I thought that was a great little monologue that Lobot gave Lando, and that maybe there was a reason why we didn't know what time this story took place at the beginning, because by the end, kind of feels like a bit of an origin story for Lando and Lobot. We're finding out how Lobot became Lobot, at least how he becomes Lobot from the movies. We don't know Lobot before the implants, before the thing is put on his head, but we do know that he was fighting something and kind of lost. We also know that Lando was destined for bigger and better things, and that his friends believed in him. And like I said, I thought it was touching ending to the book. I was touched. I found this to be a very satisfying read. I highly recommend when it comes out on. If you can pick up the series still in single issues, please do. If not, I'm sure it'll be coming out on trade paperback very soon. I was just in a comic book store and saw that they have released trade paperbacks for the first arc of the Star Wars Marvel book, as well as the Darth Vader Star Wars book by Marvel. So, seems like they're doing a good job of kind of getting this stuff out there quickly. And so that's Lando. That is the Lando miniseries. Well worth your time, folks. The art is great. Lando is, he never feels like he is being traced from the movies. Billy D. Williams, he's Billy D. in spirit and not in just the complete tracing or copying of still frames from the movies. And even Lobot has seems a bit different from the movies. He's a little bit more human, a little bit more muscular, a little bit more more to him, folks. So that is my take, folks. I hope you enjoy that. I hope that you do track down this book because, to me, everything that they seem to be releasing in the publishing world for Star Wars that is moving forward with canon, it just seems to be getting better and better. And this was one worth checking out. So please do that. I believe Chewbacca is right on the heels of this, so I will be picking that up and probably talking about that when that series is finished up as well. So until then, folks, my name is Ron. This is Delusions of Granular. That's Granular. And as always, folks, please do stay granular.